Herman. Hello, everybody. My name is Rodcon. I'm an artist. I'm a designer. I'm a teacher. And today, I get to have the pleasure of being your art instructor. So, hello. How are you guys doing? If you guys do not know who I am, I come on here and I teach you guys how to do the basic things about art. I teach you guys the techniques necessary to be able to understand characters, people, animals, perspective, genders, everything that you need to know to be able to be a good character designer, animator, storyboard artist, comic book artist, right? Understanding movement, understanding proportions, understanding storytelling, understanding anatomy, understanding style, understanding penmanship, references, proportions, all that stuff. That's what I do for you. So, hi. So, today, let's see, what should we draw today? We have the option to draw pretty much anything we want. So, I like to get a little bit of insight from my viewers. What do you think about the Morpho books? I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay, one thing about me. I don't really go and do much research on other people. I don't. It's not from lack of wanting to or doing so. It's from a complete and utter inability to focus outside of my own world. I really never really look into many artists in books and concepts. Like, a lot of people have to tell me about these things, right? I have people out into the world, my friends and my colleagues, that know that I'm a recluse. I'm a hermit. I'm a massive hermit. So they're the ones that give me insight into the other artists. They're the ones that give me insight into the techniques, other software, new things coming out, because I just lock myself in and I do my thing. Right? I don't concern myself with how other people are doing their careers. I don't concern myself with how other people are doing things. And I don't concern myself with any sort of comparison. Because why? Who cares? If someone else is doing what I'm doing, congratulations. Let's see them try to do it better than me. That's the only way I see it. Right? If I can be overtaken by someone else, then what my niche wasn't as strong as I thought. And that's fine. I'll just find something else. It's a matter of having a different mindset, right? A lot of the times we have the mindset that if we don't follow our path, our dream, our goal, like our one thing that I wanted to be an animator my whole life. Oh, and now I don't get to be an animator. Oh, no. Your dream is normally given to you when you don't really have much knowledge about what's outside in the world. When you're younger and you don't really understand what the world is going to give you, you have this idea of jumping into a very specific world. Most of the time it's animation, comics, or some sort of measure like that. Character design, visual development. A lot of the times we go into think that we want to go into those because we don't really understand it. You don't really understand the job you're trying to get into. Most of the time. Some people do. You know, some people take the time and they learn what their career is going to be about, and they're going to learn everything they need to do, and they're going to be prepared. But most people don't. Most people just go into a career and then they go like, I want to be this. And they don't understand what's entailing, like, incorporating themselves into that world, right? And it's just becomes this jumbled mess of you trying to figure out if you really like what you were trying to think that you were really liking, or if it just like something similar to that. For example, maybe you're not a person that enjoys drawing comics much, right? Maybe you're a person that just likes drawing covers. Maybe you don't like drawing the actual storytelling. You just like drawing the actual covers of the designs. And that's perfectly fine. You are more into illustration than you are into movement and storytelling. That is perfectly okay. That is an acceptable answer. Okay? This is me. I don't like doing sequential art. I don't. I absolutely hate it. Not because I can't do it. I can do that perfectly fine. I can generate movement and animations and design flows and everything, right? That's not hard for me. But I don't like doing it. I really don't. It displeases me having to do things like this, like moving slight types of movement, very little, and then learning that you have to do that over and over and over and over with little tiny increments. You know, little tiny things like that, they just annoy me because I want to move on to the next thing. Right? Once I'm done with a drawing, I don't want to have to redraw it again. And it tells my brain, you made a mistake. I'm like, no, I didn't make a mistake. Why are you redrawing it? I don't know why I'm redrawing it. And you end up in a situation where you just end up kind of resenting using your creativity for that. So you're going to end up going through a transitional phase where you end up understanding the industry and what field you want to actually go into that is real. Right? That is real. Like, you're not going to come out of college, most likely, you're not going to come out of college and become a character designer. It's just not going to happen. Okay? It's just not going to happen. Character design is normally saved for the people that have a very particular style, and they're normally hired to be the style of the show. Right? It's not going to happen with somebody with no notoriety. It's just not going to happen. You might get it with like a little indie company or something like that, but you're not going to be hired to Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network or anything like that as a showrunner, especially in a popular show, as a character designer when you barely start. It's an unrealistic thing. And a lot of people get sucked into art schools by telling them, because the art schools are like, oh, you can be a character designer. I'm like, no. Tell them the truth. Right? Tell them the truth. They could probably be like a cleanup storyboard artist, maybe, a layout designer, maybe something like that, an assistant to a storyboard artist, stuff like that. Those aren't jobs that are more inclined to people that are barely starting. And not saying that you aren't talented enough to do that. I'm just saying it's normally not given to people without an intense training in anatomy, perspective, character, like anatomy, and like somebody that's actually really, 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 really good at that. Are you saying are you a character designer being paid by a studio? You can call yourself anything you want. I can call myself a crocodile. That doesn't mean it's real. Right? If you are a person that is getting paid to design characters and you have a salary doing so, then you're a character designer. Congratulations, you made it. Now, if you're a person that designs characters but you have not gotten paid or anything like that, you can still be calling yourself a character designer. But the difference is you're not getting paid for it. You're saying I don't know, okay? No, I'm just saying that it's a lot harder to be able to get into character design than people think. And you're not going to be able to get there as an initial newbie. You're just not going to get there. So you have to adjust your expectations, especially when you're going into a career, right? Designing characters is about learning everything about proportions, angles, sizes. You have to be able to design everything, right? It doesn't have to be real. You just have to understand anatomy enough to be able to create things from shapes. And it doesn't have to be necessarily something that is anatomically correct. And a good character designer can do that with countless styles. Not just one style, not just, oh, this is my way of drawing and that's it. No, they can take anything you draw and make it into something interesting. And that is the big reasoning behind hiring people that are experienced. Because it's not easy to do this. You might think it's really easy. You might think it's incredibly easy to just go in and draw superheroes and draw stuff like that, but it's not. Having to take something that somebody else created, aka something like Spider-Man or something like that, and then coming up with your own version of them, and how they move and how they react and how they do that stuff is not incredibly easy, right? Because so many other people have done it in the past that it's a lot of the work comes from finding originality into it. And if you can't find that, then somebody's just going to call you a copy of whatever else other person did that looks similar to what you did. So when you're drawing things like superheroes, you have to learn to put your own spin on things. Right? You have to learn to do your own thing within the structures of this. And learn how to use the shapes to be able to manipulate things to your advantage. Right? Be it chibi characters, be it more adult characters, women, whatever. Let's see if I have any more. What else have I drawn for Marvel in this book? What, baby? You just ate. You look at this though. You're still okay. Say hi, mustache. My mustache. He wants attention. But he just ate. He has a big bowl of ice in water that he can chew on because it's nice and warm. And he got all the knots on his body removed from brushing. So that's why he's all hyper. But anyways, let's go back to our lesson. Sit down, Biddy. Down. Good boy. All right. So, now, what were we talking about? We're talking about like styles and shit. So the reason, a lot of the times when people get like really aggressive when it comes down to the comments, right? It's because they feel attacked. They feel attacked by something that I have said, something that I communicated, and it makes them feel like they got like personally like rendered in some way or another attacked. I don't take personal effect to these things. I'm giving general information that's going to help all of you, not necessarily just the people that have good mindsets or the people that are willing to take this on. If you're listening to this and you're actually able to comprehend the discerning between you just being a jerk and saying things or actually trying to get feedback in order to improve yourself, you can tell what type of person you're going to be when it comes down to learning in your career. If you find that everything that somebody says criticism-wise is an attack, you're going to find yourself in a really tough situation because most of the things that anyone ever gives you is going to feel like an attack. You're going to feel like every single time a person gives you feedback, this logo doesn't look right. This thing doesn't look good. You're going to be like, well, that's just your opinion. I've met people like that. I've worked with people like that. It's annoying as hell because somebody that's not willing to understand that they have space for improvement will never improve. And personally, I like working with people that want to improve, not people that just think that they're already at the top of the food chain. Because no one's at the top of the food chain. No one is. There's no perfection in art. There's literally no end goal. You can draw happy faces or you can draw complicated shit. It doesn't matter, right? If you can find the market for it, you can be a successful artist. It doesn't have to be something incredibly like comic booky or super marvel-y or something like that, but if you learn enough, you can also do that. Draw myself like Marvel character. Cheekbones, forehead, ears. Give myself some muscles. All right, so what else would you guys like to learn? Oh no. Oh no. More on bodies? Okay, so the very basic concept of the body is going to be very similar to thinking of a little ball and thinking about like a little squishy thing. Okay? A normal body is going to have limbs like that, right? It's going to have a head, you're going to have arms, you're going to have legs. Okay? That's a very basic core body with a little bit of volume. If I want it skinnier, I'll just make the shape skinnier. Same thing. The outside edges create my legs, the outside edges create my arms, and I have myself a head in between. Cool. So now, if I wanted something with a little bit more dimension, I can squish it in the middle. And then I do the same thing. Outside edge, down. Outside edge, in. Eventually, you get to the point where you are able to add different sections, right? You're able to discern a little bit of the comp of the things here. You end up distinguishing the distinction between the groin and the body, the differences between two sections, which is your rib cage. Little by little, you start developing the ability to take these little simple circles, ta-da, and eventually being able to make them into lovely body parts by just extending them. But the trick is understanding how they come out of the body. And that happens to be just at a slight angle, right? Those little circles that you follow along a circle line. So if I draw my legs coming down from there, if I need it simple, I can do a simple leg. If I need a more complicated leg, I can add all the knowledge of anatomy that I have to be able to add my separate sections. The upper body doesn't have to be on this one. You can separate it into its own little thing. Ta-da! So now you have two sections, and you have a head in between. So now, was that really hard? Overlaps happen, and you have yourself perspective and depth. So from this, you get this, and eventually two overlapping shapes, angles, whatever type of foot you want in whatever direction you want. And then the same thing that happens. The shape goes around for the arms. If you have your arm up, it goes up your arm. Okay? It always follows the contour of an edge. There's always going to be a contour of an edge happening. And if you find that contour and you just connect it back to the body, you find yourself the little circles that you can use to be able to move your arm now. Okay, you can move your arm in any direction you feel like once you find those little circles. In between this, you draw a little compass, and you have yourself a collarbone. Okay, the collarbone and that little circle gives you access to your head. So understanding proportions doesn't have to be incredibly difficult. And if you want to create something with different portions, you just change the size of these circles, or you change the size of the shape. And you can make something with thicker legs, thicker bodies, skinnier, thicker, and all sorts of combinations. So if you have if you have like a big one and a small one, it creates that. If we have a big one and a small one alternately, you have bigger legs but smaller body. Little things change a lot. Okay? You get the choice to make your characters any way you want. Right? If you find the midline, you can find the 2 circles on the bottom. And then from there, you can go and draw your legs. If you want to do mermaids, it's kind of like just 2 legs together. The arms are going to come from your collarbone, which is a little compass at the top of your shape. And then normally the compass is going to point where the arms are going to go. The hole right here becomes your neck. And you can draw your head on your neck. If you want to draw boobs, you draw that circle, draw a heart that goes around that circle. And you have yourself boobs. How do you use references without just copying other people's work? Use real life references. You don't have to draw from other people's artwork. If you find yourself really, really, really stuck copying other people's designs, try to draw from real life. Don't use artwork. Use pictures. And that's going to help you understand in your own way how to draw the things you want to. Normally, when you're drawing things like eyes and stuff like that, we find ourselves really stuck drawing exactly the 2 cool ways that they did that, right? Whatever style eyes it is like anime, comic books, stuff like that. Eyes are one of the things that are the most stylized things within a shape, within a character. So sometimes we find it really hard not to copy that. But understanding things like how the eye is built, how the eye is shaped, how the eye is a circle, stuff like that, is what helps you understand that so you can break out of that. Simple concept. An eye is 3 circles. Okay? 3 circles. However you decide to draw those circles is up to you. Okay? It can be a really big one. It could be a really small one. It could be one with multiple highlights, stuff like that. Right? The eye itself is actually quite simple. It's 3 circles or whatever designs you guys want. Instead of 3 circles, you can make a line instead of a circle. At the point you understand, now you can customize. That plus 2 overlapping lines that intersect is 3 circles, 2 overlapping lines. And you have yourself an eye. Okay? If you learn how to do those in different directions, you're going to be able to draw eyes looking any direction you want, doing anything you want, right? The style that comes above with those 2 lines is what's going to change the look of the design. If you have your 2 lines that intersect and you make this one really thick and you give it like an eyelash and everything, it's going to give you a certain look. If you just go ahead and you just darken a line to make it more cartoony, it's going to give you a different look. If you add eyelash, it's going to give you a different look. Everything that you do to that top line, you can make it even squared if you want to. Once you understand that it's supposed to be just 2 lines that intersect, you can make it 2 intersecting blocky lines. And then you have access to eyes that are blocky. Understanding is what leads you to the line of creativity. If you don't understand it, the simple concept of it, it's always going to be an incredibly difficult task for you. But if you learn 3 circles, two overlapping lines, well, now you can change any of those concepts. Make the overlapping lines wider to make an open eye. Make the overlapping lines closer, and you have a closed eye. Okay? See how the peak is in the middle? That is going to demonstrate that the eye is looking forward. If you want an eye that's looking 3/4, you peak it at a 3/4 point. Two overlapping lines, and you have yourself an eye. If you want something like a profile eye, the peak is going to be at the edge. So it's going to go around. And then you darken the line, draw your eye, and you have a profile eye. Okay? So understanding what you're drawing sometimes is the only key missing from you actually being able to put your own spin on it. Because most of you already have countless hours drawing eyes, drawing lines, drawing circles, drawing all that stuff. You guys have already done the work. You guys already have the groundwork. Now all you need to do is apply it. Okay? Application is the one thing that most people don't do. They will learn all the techniques. They'll learn all the concepts. They'll learn all the things that you need to, right? All the theories, all the spacing positions. But then when it comes down to applying it to their own drawings, they forget. They seem to forget all those concepts, and then they just go in and draw the things like they used to before, right? Instead of using your guidelines to be able to tell you where things go, the moment that you apply it, sometimes you end up forgetting all the things that you have learned. So you have to learn to apply the things that you are learning into your art. Otherwise, you end up in a situation. Okay? Where things still look off, even though you have all the guidelines. You have to learn to apply it. If you don't apply the knowledge, it's irrelevant. Okay? All the knowledge is there. You just need to learn to put it onto your line work, into your style, into whatever you feel like doing. This one looks good to you. The fact that the eye is like twice as big, the face is like crooked to the side. You guys are funny. So another trick that you guys can use whenever you come down to the bodies, you guys see these little lines that I drew, right? So essentially any body that you split into three, any shape that you split into three, you have access to your collarbone and your head. Right? If you draw a circle, you can draw a jaw. And then this is going to be your groin. And then this is going to be the sides, where your hip bones go. The spacing becomes really easy if you don't overcomplicate it. Right? If you don't overcomplicate it, it becomes relatively simple to be able to draw bodies. Now, details like muscles and stuff like that come from an understanding of human structure. If you understand human structure, aka you like drawing skeletons and you like drawing things like that, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to understand that. Because at the end of the day, it ends up being this. It's an egg, and it could be an arrow, or it could be two little circles on the bottom. That is the entirety of what you need to learn to draw. Doesn't look so hard, does it? Divide this into three, and you have yourself your head shape. Draw your compass, and you have yourself your arm ports. Okay, bring it into the body for volume. These are already the holes for your legs. You can just draw little big cones, and it would be just fine. You don't have to draw anything except a long line, or you can draw a teardrop into a straight line for your the bottom of your leg. So a teardrop into a straight line, which is your shin bone, into your foot, is the perfect shape to draw your legs, because it gives you access to the muscles and everything really easy. Okay? You just bend it, add the volume, and you have yourself that leg in different positions. Ooh. Right? So you draw your thigh, your shin and the front of the thigh. That's an important part. It's at the front. And then your muscle in the back connects back to your back of your thigh. And then you can do that in every position you want. Okay? That is going to be my favorite leg trick. Mostly because it's really easy to be able to draw things with it. If you go into foreshortened poses, that just becomes a really small leg. If you have a full-on leg, it just becomes about as long as the top part. The top of these circles, if you connect them, it gives you your belly button. You can do it in space by connecting them with a circle. And then from there, just come up with your volume, whatever you want for the upper body. And then again, your arms come out the top or through the edge, depending on if you go up. They connect back to the body. And then your head is in between. By splitting this in 3, I can come up with the head shape. Ta-da! And again, muscles and stuff like that come in time. Understanding muscles and how they work on your body is going to come from understanding how overlapping lines happen within those shapes. Okay? Your muscles are only overlapping lines. They're not adding more volume to this. They're not adding any more volume. They're not enhancing or changing the shape of your character. It's just a matter of adding overlapping lines over those little triangles and stuff that you've already done. Learning how to do that is going to take a while because it's not an easy thing. The human body is an incredibly complex system. Okay? It is. I can make it seem like it's a little easier, but in the reality, it's really hard. It has a lot of moving parts. Okay? And when you're trying to move these things in space, that's why we find circles. We find circles so that we may be able to use cylinders to be able to move things. Okay? The magical circles that we find, these, are what allow me to draw 2 extra circles and just be able to draw a leg in a different position. Or an arm in a different position. Okay? The circles are what allow me that. So my whole concept revolves around finding those connecting points. Because once I find the connecting point, I can move the leg or the arm or anything like that anywhere else. All right. Any other questions? More than happy to answer any questions you guys might have right now. You're what? You asked something? Oh, yeah. Wes mentioned the arrow. Noses. Oh, noses. Okay. The magical nose. Right? Why is it so hard for us to learn to draw this little tiny thing in different positions and stuff like that? Why is it so incredibly annoying having to draw this little tiny triangle of flesh? Well, it's because a lot of people don't understand how to make it easy. Let me show you. If you have a face, any shape for a face, and you split it in half, right? You're going to have a midline. That midline is going to give you the top of your nose bridge, and it's going to allow you to know where the middle of your face is. So if you draw a little triangle in the middle of your face where you want your nose to be, that's all you really need to know. Draw a triangle and a dot, and you're going to have the ability to draw a pyramid. So where do you want your nose to be pointing? Do you want it to point this way? Draw a dot that way. If you want it to point down, you draw that dot down and connect it. And you have yourself access to having those surfaces. Now, your creativity is going to come into play after you learn how to draw a pyramid, okay? Once you learn a pyramid, well, you have the bottom of the nose and the sides of the nose. You can add your little divots. You can add your little nostrils. You can do anything you want to it. At that point, that little pyramid is a little canvas that you can use to be able to draw any type of nose you want. Okay? You need to look at people to be able to get the idea of drawing different noses. Some people will have noses pointing up. Some people will have noses pointing down. Okay? There's gonna be tons of people with different types of noses. So understanding how to create different shapes from a little triangle is very convenient because you just kind of throw it into that. So once you have your face and you have that, how many noses have I practiced? Right? Have I practiced my noses up? Have I practiced my noses down? All that stuff is going to come into play when you decide that you want to draw different kinds of noses. So a triangle and a dot is pretty much the only tools you really need to be able to draw cool noses and a little bit of creativity. When you're drawing things in a profile, so front one, right? That's a front, choo-choo, 3/4. And profile, you just have to learn the intro and the outro of the triangle and just connect it. Let's see, let's draw a person with a very interesting nose to finish off our string. So let's say we have a broken nose bridge. There you go. Have our cheekbones that come out from that triangle. From here, that triangle also is going to go up and it's going to separate my eye sockets, giving me the spacing in between my eyebrows. Wherever this circle ends, this is going to be the end of my eyebrow. At the edge of my eyebrow, matching this circle is going to be the side of my head. The side of my head will always touch that side of my eyebrow. It's literally one of those big components that just never changes. Look at your own face. Wherever the eyebrow ends tends to be where your temple goes. And that is a defining factor from both sides. If this hits the edge, this is where the other side is. Okay? That's how you find both ears easy. Any tips on exaggerating poses and expressions? Eventually you're gonna get to the point where you understand that all these parts in between are fleshy, right? And you can start pushing expressions by just digging into each other. If you overlap things, it creates depth. Learning how to overlap those things, like the eyes and the cheeks and stuff like that, takes time. Learning what gets pushed into each other when something happens is one of those things that just happen through observation. I can tell you 1,000,000 times that when you smile, your eye has a little bit of your eyelid pushing up, but until you actually see it in person, you're never gonna be able to do it yourself. Right? When you smile, Your mouth pushes up, it pushes your cheek up, and it covers a little bit of your eye. Right? Little expression points like that need to be observed. And it's really hard to be able to explain them to you because if you don't see them, if you've never seen them, it's kind of like saying draw a platypus. Oh, I've never seen a platypus. Oh, it's like a duck and a beaver. Can you make it out of that? And they're like, oh no. Like, okay, can you make it? I tell you it's brown. Does that make any difference? No, of course not. Right? Unless you actually see it, you're gonna have a hard time drawing it. And that's the case with a lot of facial expressions. So unless you actually go out into the world and you actually draw people, you're gonna have a hard time understanding how certain things are built. So you have to go out and draw humans. Weird, huh? Having to actually go out into the world and do something. So thank you so much for the 9,000 people that click like on my stream without me having to ask a single time. You guys are the MVPs. I absolutely hate asking. I hate it. I hate it. It's kind of like telling someone or asking someone to like you. You know, I don't like doing that. So it makes me really happy that people still click it even though I don't really ask. Yeah. So I don't know. Hopefully, like the streams will be a little bit more populated too, because lately we've only been getting like 1,000 people in the chat. Like not even the chat, the whole stream. We've only been breaking maybe 1,000 people when we used to break like 50. So in some reality, I'm thinking about going to YouTube, right? Just like streaming on YouTube, just seeing if that's gonna be any better right now, at least for now, and until like the uncertainties with TikTok, like die down. So I might start streaming on YouTube for a little bit, just because of the engagement levels here are so incredibly low that it's kind of like I'm not reaching the amount of people that I wish, right? And if I can't reach the people that I wish, it's not that I'm not making money. I don't get to teach as many people as I wish I was. And that's the whole point, right? Teach as many people, have them go like good paths, happy, smiling, and generate enough goodwill for myself that eventually somebody will offer me a job for teaching or something like that. And it will actually make me happy, make the world happy, and we will all be in happy world. One day, my friends. If you guys want to warm up, and if you guys wake up a little earlier, Mr. Wes, our mod, he goes on here and he teaches the same foundations, but he does it in his own way, right? So I highly suggest that if you guys enjoy what I do, go check him out, because he does the same thing, he just explains them differently. So if you don't see growth with me, you might be able to see growth with him. That's the whole point, right, with art. If you find somebody that speaks to you, try to find other people that speak to you as well in the same way. And then you're going to see inspiration and growth, and you're going to see a massive uptake on your confidence levels, right? And if you're able to be confident, then it becomes a lot easier to push your ideas. It becomes a lot easier to share your work. It becomes a lot easier to just feel happy and proud of yourself because you're doing something incredibly hard. What I do, what we do every day, what we teach, it's not easy. It's a lot of the things that most people just will never be able to actually learn how to draw because they get bad instruction, or they get instruction that makes them feel like it's really difficult for them to get to a certain spot. My goal for you and for this is to make you feel proud within an hour, to find some measure of inspiration within an hour that I have you here. Right? Within an hour or whatever time that I have with you, I want to make sure that you guys leave inspired, happy, knowledgeable, and a little bit less ignorant to the things that you need to do to be able to improve. If I'm able to do that, if I was able to do that today, let me know in a comment or something within my videos, like not necessarily here. Show me, like, just tell me like a video that helped you or something, or comment on anything else. And then that allows me the ability to know that I'm doing something right. Because a lot of the times that the factor of me going on live or not ends up in it's my brain. When I think that I'm doing something that is benefiting people, I get up every morning and I'm like, yeah, let's rock and go. When I feel like I'm just doing the same routine over and over, I feel so demotivated that sometimes I just want to quit. Like, no joke. It just feels like because I very rarely hear that I'm doing something right. And this will be the case with every one of you, okay? In your art career, you will very rarely hear people tell you you're doing something right. You will be told countless times you're doing something wrong, right? People will be fucking sure to tell you if you're not doing the right thing. That's for sure. But it's much less likely for people to tell you you're doing the right thing. Why? Because most people don't know if they're doing the right thing. There is no right thing. There is no correct path. There is no ultimate path. There is no single targeted way to be able to be successful in this. And that's just something that comes along with being an artist. So if you don't feel pride on your own stuff, odds are no one else will. And if no one else will, you can't rely on other people to make you feel like you're worth something. How often do I stream here? I stream here every day. Every single day. Be it in the mornings or in the afternoons. You know, I always seem to find myself streaming here a lot. But like I said, the engagement here, the numbers are insanely low. Insanely low. I don't know what's going on with the algorithm. I don't know what's going on with TikTok in general. But the numbers are so insanely low that only maybe a couple thousand people out of the 350,000 people that I have, only like 2K of my people see my stuff. So that is not okay. Right? That's just not fine. This is what happened to Instagram. This is exactly what happened to Instagram. Higher level accounts get limited so that they have to pay to be able to actually see all their numbers. And that's what happens in my Instagram. I have like 250,000 Instagram followers, and my stuff only gets seen by like 2,000 people, 3,000 people. It's not about school. It's not about that at all, because most of my audience is from the ages of 25 to 40. That's the biggest audience that I have. So most of them don't have school. But anyways, we're not gonna think about any of that. We're just gonna start streaming onto YouTube once, like every day for a little bit. And that's it. We're gonna transition slowly. We're not gonna just take it away from here. But if you guys wanna come join me, come join my YouTube, because I'm gonna be transitioning slowly to there if this ends up dying. I go where I'm wanted and where I can get seen, because that's the way that I reach more people. It's not because I want popularity. I just want to be able to teach to the general audience that is watching me. And YouTube also saves them for later, so I don't have to record them and I have to download them and edit them and stuff like that. So it makes it easier. Today, I might jump on there like at 1 or 2. I might just jump on there like 1 or 2 just to get some practice in before I go play pool. And yeah, that's gonna be the future structure from now on. If this doesn't if this doesn't restore itself, I have to adjust, and that's gonna be the case with all of you too. So whenever something doesn't succeed, you adjust, and you don't think, oh, it's the end. Oh, it's definitively over. Oh, I don't get to do this no more. And I'm like, no. Stop being dramatic. Okay? You get to just go to a different platform and you get to rebuild everything from scratch. That's what you get to do, because that's essentially the unfortunate life that we have as artists. We have to learn to adapt and go with the flow and go with wherever it gets, especially if I just want this life where I'm just drawing in my sketchbook and being able to just live off this. Because this career doesn't exist. This is not a career that exists. Like, nobody has this. Nobody does what I do. Nobody just draws and sells sketchbooks and that's their living. No one does. I'm unique. So I'm going to enjoy this life until I can't. right? I'm going to enjoy doing what I do, what I can do, what I can do best than everybody else. Because this is something I can do better than most people on this planet. I can teach. I can teach better than 99% of the human beings on this planet. And even be it art, be it anything. I'm excellent at it. And I just need a job doing it. Someone at an art school, for fuck's sakes, hire me. Anyways, you guys have a lovely day. You guys have a fantastical evening. If I am not able to see you guys again, if we don't run into each other's paths again due to the algorithm or whatever, I wish you guys a wonderful, wonderful life. I hope that your career spans across entire nations in the whole fucking world and everybody knows your name. Okay? You guys are awesome. You guys are lovely. Thank you again for being my students. And I will see you guys again soon in another stream. Later, Gators.